Okay, so this is my review of Giving In by Adema. I will be doing both the album version and the music video edit. But primarily this video is the album version. So starting off with the album version, the song starts with the melodic plucking of a distorted guitar before the drums and bass kick in, accompanied by what sounds like a clean guitar and a little bit of phase distortion on a background guitar before the main overdrive drops or kicks in. This song has such a nice buildup of elements that lead to the first verse. Mark Chavez's clean vocals are very reminiscent of early Chester Bennington of Linkin Park here. For a lot of fans, including myself, this was a song that really hooked me onto the band. For the chorus, the vocals are double-backed and layered with what I presume is a filter of some sorts that gives it an almost church-like choir harmony that feels dated and unnatural. A little bit later on in a song, I kind of figured out why it sounds the way it does, so I'll get to that in a second. But basically, at first, I was thinking it was something like this effect that they have an audacity to basically allow you to self-harmonize, but it seems to be late, as I go into the review, it seems like they slowed down Mark Chavez's vocals and messed with the vibrato. And for a little bit, I couldn't figure out why it was, but then it hit me. So I'll get to that in like 2 seconds. Trust me, you'll want to hear my hot take on that. Okay, so the lyrics of the second verse build well on the emotion and the tone set in the first verse, but the backing vocals here are a little too apparent in the mix. Yes, I'm complaining about the backing vocals, not the lead vocals this time. Which lowers some of the impact of the lead vocals. And this is on the album version. I listened to the music video after, and it doesn't have this problem, fortunately. But the second chorus comes in without being overly double-backed and layered, unlike the first verse, which is much preferred here. But you can still hear the weird effect on the backing vocals. The mini bridge guitar solo is definitely one of the best features of the song. The wah complements it perfectly. Dave DeRue's bass playing really gives Mark's vocals, as we're led into the breakdown, really guides them. That's what I was trying to say. It really guides his vocals, and honestly, I think that he's underrated. He's definitely underrated, at least on this song. I've been really focused too much on his bass playing, but in this song and this part, I will say that, he definitely was needed. He definitely shines. Anyway, the song reaches its peak here in terms of quality during the breakdown. Everything is at full force, including the addition of another guitar part that confidently steers the song to its finale without ever taking the mix. My hair is a mess. Without ever overtaking the mix, blah, or fading into the background. The song ends with the feedback of one guitar and two different guitar parts being played at once, one of them being a slight variation on the intro, which is that and the other one's just a wah 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 wah, and it's good. I'm not complaining. I'm just trying to describe what I hear. Onomatopoeias. The song is definitely one of my favorite songs from the band ever. I will say it hasn't aged quite as well as some songs in terms of mixing, but it's still a solid 3.5 stars for me. My only complaints are really some of the vocal effects on Mark Chavez, who, as most people know, is the half-brother of Jonathan Davis of Korn. This may be a hot take, and here's my hot take, but since for those who don't know, Jonathan Davis is the half-brother of Mark Chavez. Mark Chavez, the half-brother of Jonathan Davis. Korn and Adema. Adema and Korn, okay? So The cassette for the self-titled, I'm not going to read from my notes for this because this part I pretty much know off the top of my head. The cassette for Adema self-titled advertised it as coming from the kid brother of Korn. Yes, literally says kid brother of Korn on the cassette, which respectfully, Artesia Records went bankrupt. They didn't make the best financial decisions and creative decisions. That was dumb. I do think that Mark Chavis hardly ever sounds like Jonathan Davis, except I realized where people see the resemblance, hear the resemblance, and it's on parts where he's like, I'm dying tonight. And what they're doing with the weird vocal effect is his voice is slowed, altered, and even the vibrato is messed with, so he phrases like Jonathan Davis. And I had to stop and look up live videos, and he does not sound like that. So that's my hot take, that they intentionally tried to make him sound like Jonathan Davis, or more like Jonathan Davis, because there are some trace elements, for sure, they're half brothers, but they tried to make him sound more like Jonathan Davis, at least on this song. I might go back and listen to the whole album later and check it out, but like, you take a hot minute, listen to some Korn, you'll see it for sure. I like, in my notes, I'm saying that I think Mark Chavis sings the song great live. He just doesn't sound like how it sounds there, which isn't a bad thing, just isn't the same, you know? But now I'm talking about the music video, and this is pretty quick. This is a different mix of the song, and it's an edit. It's about like 35 seconds, technically 33 seconds shorter. And the build-up is faster, with the phase distorted guitar being louder in the mix, with less phase effects. It's got more of a just crunch to it than a na-na-na. It's na-na-na. Like, there's a clear difference, whether or not I can vocabularize it or not. The video itself starts with Mike Ransom fading in and sliding through rooms, eventually joining the band as Mark sings the first verse with clips of lovers and artistic representations of trauma, such as a little girl with a sucker and a woman in a glass cage filled with water. It's apparent to me that the woman and the little girl are supposed to be the same people. I'm not too sure about the woman in the glass case, but it would make a lot of sense for them all to be the same titular character. There's some undertones of sexual violence and addiction, which fit with the song thematically and enhance the music. The odd vocal effects I complained about on the second verse of the album version of the song, that said were overpowering the lead vocals, are not a problem in this mix. The video does well to build with the music, as the woman in the glass cage is now drowning in water and trying to stay afloat from like a hole in the surface. If there's a hole in the surface, you can't really see at the angle. And it does sound like this is a different vocal take for the breakdown where he says, I look forward to die tonight. But that might just be my mind. Sometimes you listen to things of different audio quality. Respectfully, it's very hard in this day and age to give a review of something when you listen to something uploaded to YouTube 10 years ago to something uploaded now. There's a difference in audio quality. This video is getting long, so I'm going to wrap it up. I could be wrong about that different vocal take, but I did notice a different vocal take on the ending of Unstable on two versions, which I pointed out years ago, and it's clearly a different one. So it's entirely possible. The backing vocals are more distinguishable and contain more screams instead of just copying the lead vocals Overall, I think this is the definitive version of the song, despite being just a little bit shorter. It feels a lot less processed and commercialized. It doesn't feel like it's touched up in the way that the album version does. And honestly, I would give this version 4 out of 5 stars. I have no complaints for the most part with anything other than the mixing of the album version. It has some weird choices. Mark Chavis's vocals are over-relied on, but with the music video, you can hear screams, you can hear actual elements versus just recycling of his voice double backed. I know a lot of people probably ask, well, why don't you give it 5 stars? You're the Adema archive. I do think that this song is like Not Crawling from Linkin Park. I do think it's a great song, but so is Mud Shovel by Stain. So is Heaven Beside You by Alice in Chains. But I wouldn't say they're 5 stars. Again, this video's got very long. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like this, please thumbs up, like, subscribe, share this, comment. I need the love, guys. Look at my hair. It's all fucked up. I need the love. Thank you.